Hello and welcome to Bernadette's Way. Today I am making a pumpkin roll. I will have the recipe down below in the description. And the ingredients you will need are flour, sugar, salt, baking powder, cinnamon, nutmeg, pumpkin, eggs, and lemon juice. And next is the filling. And for the filling, all you need is confectioner's sugar, pecans, cream cheese, unsalted butter, and vanilla extract. Now let's get started.
To start, preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Then, in one bowl, prepare your dry ingredients. Add 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. You will need more flour for later when you flour your pan. Next, add 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Mix and sift all of your dry ingredients together. I sift the dry ingredients twice, but this is optional. However, I do want to point out that you do not want chunks of anything, such as the nutmeg or the salt, because you will feel a crunch from these ingredients in the sponge portion of the pumpkin roll when you take a bite. Basically, it takes away from the soft texture of the pumpkin sponge cake you are making. In a stand mixing bowl, prepare your sugar and wet ingredients. Crack 3 large eggs into your bowl. I'm using eggs right out of the fridge. Beat the eggs on high for 5 minutes or until the eggs are pale yellow. While your mixer is on, gradually add in 1 cup of white granulated sugar. I only had fresh lemon juice on hand, but you can use concentrated lemon juice as well. Add 1 teaspoon of lemon juice to the bowl. Then gradually add in a 2/3 cup of canned pumpkin. All of these ingredients are added to the batter before the 5-minute timer goes off. I fold the batter by itself to ensure that the pumpkin is well blended into the batter without disturbing all of the air that is already in the batter. Then I sift the flour mixture once more. Next, I fold in all of the double sifted dry ingredients. This part can be tricky because there will be pockets of dry ingredients and you may be tempted to just beat the batter, but don't do that. Instead, be patient and fold until the ingredients are just combined. Once your batter is finished, spray and flour a 15-inch by 10-inch by 1-inch cookie sheet. This part is done in steps to ensure that nothing sticks to the pan or the wax paper. First, spray the pan generously with vegetable oil spray. Then place the wax paper sheets about 2 inches or so from both 10-inch sides. Next, spray and flour the wax paper. Now you can pour the batter onto the floured pan. Using a long spatula, spread the batter to the edges of the pan. Try to flatten the batter as best as you can. However the batter is, that is the way it will bake and will not spread on its own. Bake for 15 minutes or until the pumpkin sponge cake springs back up when you slightly push down on it. The key to this recipe is to work fast, and the most important part is this next part, but it is also the hardest part. This is because you will be working with the sponge cake right out of the oven, so be very careful. Once the pumpkin sponge cake is done, take it out of the oven and quickly sprinkle it with confectioner's sugar. As you see, you want a generous amount of confectioner's sugar. Next, cover it with wax paper, leaving about 2 inches on the 10-inch sides for rolling later. You can use a clean kitchen towel like the original recipe mentions instead of wax paper. Then I flip it onto a flat surface. I use the flat side of my large cutting board. Gently take off the wax paper. Finally, gently but quickly roll the sponge cake. Try not to fold any portion of the sponge cake like I accidentally did in the video. Let your sponge cake cool for at least 2 hours in the fridge or overnight. I do not recommend trying to cool this quickly in the freezer. It changes the taste and texture of your sponge cake. Now it is time to make the cream cheese filling. The original recipe says to use 6 ounces of room temperature cream cheese. However, I never know what to do with the extra 2 ounces of the 8-ounce cream cheese brick, so I just use the whole cream cheese brick in the recipe. A little more will not hurt, it will just add more cream cheese flavor. Then add a 1/4 cup of unsalted room temperature butter. Add a cup of confectioner sugar. You can add more or less depending on the sweetness or thickness you want your filling to have. Lastly, add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Using a stand mixer, mix on low because you do not want the confectioner sugar to fly out of the bowl. Once the sugar is partially blended, set the speed to medium speed. Then mix until the sugar is just combined and well blended. Lastly, beat the filling on high for 2 to 3 minutes until it is slightly fluffy. You want to work with the cream cheese when it is just finished. It is harder to spread when it has been in the fridge, but do keep it refrigerated when not in use. I normally make the pumpkin roll it, refrigerate it, and then place my cream cheese to reach room temperature. This can take up to 2 to 3 hours depending on the temperature. This way the cream cheese will reach room temperature and the pumpkin roll will be cooled. Gently unroll the sponge cake. I made double the cream cheese filling recipe because I made 2 pumpkin rolls, so I only use half of what is in the bowl. Spread the cream cheese filling onto the sponge cake. I normally go to all of the edges of the sponge cake because I want to ensure that there is filling in every bite. Once I am done spreading an even layer of filling, I sprinkle chopped pecans onto the cream cheese filling. You can add a 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of pecans when you are mixing. However, it is easier to spread the cream cheese filling without pecans, and you can ensure that you have pecans in every bite when you sprinkle it after you spread the cream cheese filling. Then you gently roll up the pumpkin roll. Try your best not to push down. You are guiding the roll to form the pumpkin roll. You do not want to cut the roll until it has been in the fridge for about 4 hours or overnight. If you do not wait, there will be crumbs instead of a clean-cut pumpkin roll. You want to serve this chilled. You can freeze your pumpkin roll, but once you freeze it, you want to serve it semi-frozen. It will be kind of wet if you let it thaw out completely. Also, it does not taste as good. You can cut your pumpkin roll however you like. I do normally cut off part of the end so that the pumpkin roll has a nice clean cut on each end. If you choose to, you can sprinkle a little bit of confectioner sugar on top of the pumpkin roll. You want to do this just before you serve it because it will dissolve if you do it too soon. Well, there you go. The pumpkin roll is ready to eat.
I'm definitely ready to sample this. I love pumpkin roll. And this one is one of the best recipes that I found. You taste all the spices inside the roll. The cinnamon and the nutmeg. It's just the right amount of nutmeg. The cream cheese filling just blends really well with the pumpkin. But it is delicious. Love that cream cheese. It's not too sweet. Now, if you want it sweeter or not as sweet, you just adjust the confectioner sugar that you put in there. I'm not gonna eat all this. I'm gonna freeze some of it. Oh, I love this. I'm making all my favorites right now. If you enjoyed this video, please sweeten up my day by hitting the like button. And if you really want to give me a sugar rush, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, take care, and stay sweet. Now let's get started. Oh, no. And for the filling, just kidding. And for the filling, you need, what is it called? Confectioner sugar, peak.